I'm starting book 3 of the Farseer Trilogy, The Assassin's Quest. I was just editing my reading vlog for Royal Assassin, and I remembered how much I love this book and how amazing this story was. I was like, wait, why am I putting this off? I need to read this now. It's like the end of the trilogy, but there are still 13 more books. Stop putting it off and get to it. And I was a part of 2 clubs. One that I was really commenting and just stopped posting, and the other one was reading so fast that I kind of fell behind. They're already on book 5. We'll see if I can catch up, read this one and the next one, and start posting with them for book 5. And if not, it's okay. I started a fantasy-focused reading club on Fable called the Council of Elrond, so I'm going to be reading Assassin's Quest and keeping all of my thoughts over there, as well as updating here. The prologue in chapter 1 of this, jam-packed. On page 35 is when chapter 2 starts, and there's so much information. Like, Verity trying to break through and having to get Fitz to drink brandy to do so, and like him being like a cold sensation that we see Fitz trying to push away. We find out a little bit more about what happened with Beric and how he ended up staying, and how Regal always knew along, and we talk about Rosemary the maid, who possibly was the assassin as well as the spy. Like, all these little things just are slowly coming out, and Fitz is a beast, like, very much so not a human, and he is slowly coming back in the chapter, but it's awful. It's so awful. He is slowly regaining his life, but the life that he lived is no longer there. Like, they're like, you can't even go to Patience because people will kill you for coming back. You'll just prove them right that you have the wit. And, like, obviously Verity knows and trusts Fitz to a degree and is trying to reach him and tell Beric and Shade that he's alive. And Shade is being a spy living in Buckkeep with Patience, or Patience is, like, playing the Lord over there and gaining control of, like, the court and the soldiers. It's just crazy. And she's making a blanket for a baby, and they think it's for Catrickin, and she knows where Catrickin is. I don't think so. I think it's for Molly. Still think that's the plot. And Catrickin and the Fool are gone. They possibly reached the village. The mountain people aren't telling anybody anything. So, like, we have no concept of that. But at the end, like, in the epilogue of the last book, Royal Assassin, it sounds like he goes with Catrickin to find Verity, but they're not with Catrickin here. So I've noticed that the, like, little last, like, journal entries don't match the, like, first journal entries of the next book. So that's interesting to know. It happened with Assassin's Apprentice, and now with Royal Assassin to Assassin's Quest. I'm on chapter 5 of Assassin's Quest, and I went and rechecked the Royal Assassin epilogue, and it doesn't actually tell you, like, that he immediately goes to find Verity. It just says that eventually he goes to follow his queen to follow his king. But it does say, like, after time. So far, it's been crazy. I am so sad when Fitz yelled at Burrich. I felt terrible. I felt so bad for him, but I also understood everybody's perspective. Like, I understood why Shade was mad because he thinks he took it too far. I understand how they're saying that he hasn't been a man, but they've never given him the opportunity. Like, you're a man, you're a boy making man's decisions, but, like, you're still acting as a boy, and you're using us as excuse. Look, I understand why Fitz needs to go on his own. I understand that this is for character development. I get it. I don't like it. I think Burrich is with Molly based off of, like, the little scenes we've seen. The skill walking is very interesting, especially when we find out that Verity's doing it and that they're seeing, like, the Forged Ones and the Raiders attack these towns. We're with the, like, Harper and his daughter and niece, and oh god, don't like them. But him and Night Eyes just got hurt, and Will has now discovered him when he's, like, reaching out for anybody through the wit or the skill after Verity. And so now he knows that Verity and Fitz are alive, and Night Eyes fights him and Will leaves, but Will isn't dead. Like, he doesn't die. I wish we would have killed him. I wish we would have sucked his life out, or Night Eyes would have killed him, because that means Regal knows that he still needs to go after Verity and Fitz. This is terrible news. So I guess, like, we're just going to be stressed. And I miss the cast. We've spent so much time with these characters. I've gained so much of a connection to all of these characters. And I like that the story is told through Fitz's point of view. I like that perspective. But I'm not going to care about any of these random inserts that are just being popped up, because I already have emotional attachments to characters that I want Fitz to return to as quickly as possible. So Fitz just helped a drunkard in the town that he reached with like the minstrel and the two girls. And I'm over here complaining like I don't want any new characters. And Fitz goes, Rolf, there's a bear. And he goes, she's mine. You have nothing to fear from her. And I was wondering, like, who the other person was who was talking to him. Please help him. Old Blood asked for... I was like, what is this? What's going on? Is this... Like, what is happening? Like, who did he make a connection with, right? It's the bear. He made the bear. And that's why Night Eyes is wondering, like, is this Pack? Like, it feels more, like, animalistic. Oh my god! Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. And I just can't. I can't. Okay. I almost started crying because it just felt like we had a family again. The wolf is welcome too? Oh, you know I have a wolf? Oh. Now there's a girl with a hawk. Are we gonna get answers about the wit? Finally? I finally got my first quote of the book. I was kind of worried. Well, maybe I should actually do the original. I don't know. But among the old blood, two are treated as one is a good quote. You're very young, even for a first bonding. This is so much information. What? There's a feud between the skill and those with the wit or old blood. What if old blood is like the original power from the elderlings back in the elder years, and when the king who wisdom goes and he like bargains, that's when the skill is created, and it's like a perverse like new version. Maybe. However, Fitz is biracial. I don't know what else to call it. But, you know, he's the child of Romeo and Juliet. Does his dad? Well, his dad's dead. But did chivalry know this? I'm gonna run out of world building tags soon. And then there was this thing where they said, like, what if... I don't know. What a phenomenal chapter. If they don't come back in this book, like Holly says that they can call on them, they better come back in another in the series. I can't believe I got so many questions answered and still have so many more. Like, that was just a little taste of the world building for the old blood, which I will be calling it now. The wit removed from my language. If they want it to be called that, that's their name for it. They deserve to name what their power is and their ancestry is. Yeah, I want more. I wish we would have stayed, but I understand that Fitz is obsessed with revenge right now, and as long as he does it safely and doesn't get himself or anybody else I care about killed, then we'll be okay. I was reading all of yesterday until I went to bed, basically, but I didn't get to update because my family came over for dinner, and then my cousin stayed with us, so everyone like crashed out in my house like really early, and I was the only one up reading, and I just didn't want to disturb anyone who was sleeping. But I'm now on chapter 11, and the last time I updated was about meeting the, I think it was in chapter 5, meeting the two other wit people, which was crazy. And so, oh, it's got to be these grade world building tabs, right? Yeah. Crazy, so exciting. So there's a lot to catch up on. The guy basically, you know, he wanted to teach Fitz more, and he told Fitz, like, what happens when you want to be with a wife, and what happens when the wolf wants to be with a pack. And that man put a curse on us because Night Eyes immediately found a wolf pack, and now he's gone. And Fitz was really hurt about it, but then he realized that that's messed up of him because he's done the exact same thing to Night Eyes before, and so he kind of had to let it go. And he says that he's like made a plan and he's ready to handle this alone. And he's like, Verity, I'm gonna come to you after. Fitz had no plan. He looked around the castle, said, okay, that's how I'm gonna get in. That might be how I get out. There's some options here and there. And then went in with no plan. Like, didn't become a castle servant and was sneaking around. Didn't sneak in at night a couple of days during different parties to figure out what to do before starting to murder people. Like, no plan. No semblance of a plan. Gets basically caught by Will, who skills him and tricks him into thinking that he's finding what he wants, which is basically Regal's bedchamber. He did poison Regal's, like, separate room, so hopefully Regal dies, but I don't think he's going out off screen with poison like that. I found out that I've been saying the coterie wrong. That Will and the other two, who were very unimportant at one point and really didn't do anything at this point, are the coterie, not the cotier. I don't know where the, like, I don't know where that came from. So they're, like, he didn't kill anyone. He killed 2 guards who helped beat him up, but you can kind of tell that he's very, like, revenge-based. And then he tries to kill himself. And Verity is like, suicide? What do you mean suicide? Come to me now. Like, leave this foolish idea behind. Come to me. And so now he's being, like, not controlled, because he knows what's happening. Like, he's too present of the skill to feel controlled. And he's able to stop and, like, not just walk there mindlessly. But he is being... Oh, my toast is done. He is being skilled to go to Verity. And, he's now in some, like, little town to cross the lake with a caravan, and I just want him to be with people who actually know who he is and know that he's a good guy again. This is so much. I was so, like, okay, I was like, maybe we're killing Regal at the beginning of this book, and, like, there's other issues, like the Elderlings or stuff, it's going to be taking up the rest of it. No, we had a foolish, childish want and no plan. I'll go make my toast. I'm midway through chapter 13, and I'm painting my nails. So I'm gonna take a little break from reading and painting and talk about what I've read so far. So Fitz was found by some Kingsguard with the caravan that he was traveling with, but in this caravan there was Tassin, I think her name is, who is the girl who ratted him out. Screw Tassin. And then there is a minstrel named Starling. And Starling very clearly knew who Fitz was and was not going to rat him out, and seemed to try to prevent it by keeping an eye on Tassin. So I think Starling's going to come back. I think Starling is going to come with us and be our companion for this book. Starling seems interested in getting a song that only they can have, because I guess that's how minstrels make their names. So she believes Fitz is going to be the one to get her song. Birch thinks that Fitz is dead and Molly has had the baby, which is crazy. So Fitz is a dad of a little girl. But Burrick goes back to the cabin, finds the decaying corpse with hair and a build apparently similar to Fitz in Fitz's shirt, and obviously assumes that Fitz is dead, so he's grieving. And Molly doesn't understand why he's grieving right now, because she thinks Fitz has been dead for a while, but now Bert thinks that Fitz died in the woods, and it's his fault because he left him there, which is crazy and sad. And Fitz is still trying to move to Verity. The Kingsguard caught him. He poisoned them before they caught him, so they all died. And he kind of feels bad because he's like, I killed 6 men, but only one of those men was part of the Regal's people who were hurting me. So he feels a little guilty, but you gotta do what you gotta do to survive. And he makes it to Blue Lake. And who's there? Regal! Regal's there to... I don't remember what he said. They said that he was doing something, but then the other thing he's doing is looking for the pocked man, Shade, and the bastard Fitz. So, Fitz is like, oh, we have another chance at Regal before we go after Verity. And I'm like, Fitz, your last plan was so stupid. Don't go after them. Leave them be. That's just my take on what's going on. This book is definitely slower than the other ones, which is crazy because the other ones are slow. But I think it just also feels slower than the other ones because it's longer. So, like, if, we could probably skip some of these scenes because not everyone is as important as they seem, right? But if you're just skipping around from important scene to important scene, like, are you reading a book or are you reading a summary? So I understand why this epic long tale that has now been told at least for like 9 months. I mean, I don't know how pregnant Molly was when she left him, but normally you notice at what, 2, 1 to 3. So, she's at least 6 months. We've been gone for at least 6 months. That's what, from the beginning where he died in Royal Assassin to now. That's all I got. I leave to go camping tonight. I'm most definitely taking my book with me, but I wanted to do an update of where I'm at because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do one while I'm camping. Okay, I had to go back and see where I was at in my discussion, and then I realized that one of my clips, my mic was off, so you can't hear anything. But I was talking about how Fitz reached Blue Lake and Regal was there, but then later we find out that he's actually not there from Starling, and Fitz doesn't go in. It's only Will there pretending to be him because a small ferret who had a bond with somebody who died, and the death wish was to get revenge on Regal, or at least somewhat like help Fitz out as well, warns him that it's a trap, and then Starling tells him it's a trap as well, and then him and Starling are going with smugglers to now cross Blue Lake to get into the Mountain Kingdom. But as they're going with these smugglers, Nick felt really suspicious, and then he was hitting on Starling, and then he goes and kisses that girl. Like, okay, Nick, whatever. But while they're going, we get Night Eyes back. Night Eyes is coming to help him. He wanted to be the leader of the pack, and he didn't win the fight, it sounds like, so he decided that he's just not ready to be in the pack, but it sounds like they'll take him back at another point, so he just decided to go help Fitz again. And we're crossing the lake on like a barge, and that's when we get attacked by like Regal's guard, who are supposed to be paid to help the smugglers, and it turns out that they're not only going against, like, he turned Fitz in, so that's why they were there. They're also now, because Burl, is his name Burl? Yeah. Burl found out about this deal and is now also capturing the smugglers and the pilgrims who are making the trek to the Mountain Kingdom. So they're all captured, and then there is an attack by the smugglers that set Starling and the old lady that we were helping cross during this time, Kettle, free. And I love Kettle. She feels like a grandma, and she very clearly likes Fitz because she's giving him stuff, and she sees him as like very respectful, and jokes like, oh, you have too many manners for like a shepherd boy or whatever. So she's on to him at least somewhat. And she's going to see the White Prophet, which I thought was the Fool, and I just got that confirmation that the Fool is the White Prophet. And so he's captured, they get away with the pilgrims, and then they come back to attack the smugglers, the town, with these guards that they have to deal with that was broken. And while they're setting fires and attacking, Starling and Kettle are able, with Night Eyes, but they aren't working together, they don't realize that they're all doing the same thing, to free Fitz from jail, and they escape. But Fitz, trying to save them, sends them on their own way. Starling's mad about it, but Kettle understands like that he's sacrificing himself and distracting the guards so that they can get away. And then he gets shot by somebody with the wit and a dog, and then also the King's Guard and a pack of dogs, but specifically those two are the ones who shoot him. And the dog dies. And so they hear the man screaming, like, and they feel kind of guilty because, they know what it's like, him and Night Eyes, but he gets shot in the back and he's like dying. And Night Eyes is like leading him along and begging him to keep going. And he's like, there's a town right there, there's a town right there. And then, somebody described as the White One, or like, he thinks it's Death, but they're described as pale. And I was like, is this the Fool? And then it says something like that he didn't recognize Fitz. And so I was like, oh, it's not the Fool. But it's just he doesn't recognize Fitz because they've been apart for a year, and he's got all scarred up from Regal beating him and stuff. And it is the Fool. And then we got terrible news that Katrikin had a stillborn, And so there is no heir to the kingdom, and they think that Verity's dead because they found his cloak. So Fitz is the only one who knows that Verity's alive, but he doesn't want the Fool to tell anybody, and Shade is there. And we found out that Shade is the one communicating for Patience and Katrickin back and forth. So it looks like now we're going to go on our own trek to go find Verity, but we don't want Katrickin to know that we're alive. And I wonder if we're going to re-meet Starling and Kettle, because I kind of love Starling and Kettle. They're the only two characters that I've come to care about, that have been like new characters who have been introduced to us. And I think Starling deserves to come along and get her minstrel, her song. So, yeah. Oh, and then Burl broke Starling's fingers, which apparently are supposed to bring like a curse on people, because apparently you're not supposed to hurt minstrels. You can kill them for like singing bad about the king, but you're not supposed to like harm them. It's like death or life. Like you gotta either take what they're saying or put an end to it. So safe to say I am attached to Night Eyes after trying to avoid it as much as possible. It's not going to happen. And I'm on chapter 21, Confrontations. I didn't want to stop reading last night, but it was about 10 p.m. and I was getting tired, and I had had a long day, and I knew that I was going to be preparing and traveling today for camping. So I was like, it's okay, you can read in the car tomorrow. Just stop. So that's where I'm at, and that's what we've got so far. I have to like update where I've been, because I wasn't going to do it until I had 150 pages left, but I'm in chapter 31, and the little entry at the beginning about like Fitz being betrayed by somebody, I was like, oh man, like I don't want to figure out who it is, like it's gonna hurt, right? And then Kettle, like they're talking about the Fool getting attacked by Burl and Will and Regal through his skill bond with Fitz, and possibly Verity, or maybe my thought is possibly the dragon elderling through like that touch as well, pushing them out and protecting them. But then Kettle's talking about Elfbark using it to like dull Fool's skill so that nobody can reach him. And her and Fitz are arguing about it, and she's like, given to a royal bastard young enough, it could destroy any potential for skill use. She starts talking about how it's something that they knew to avoid. And I wrote a note here, who was giving it? Shade, right? And like Fitz is like, did Shade make a mistake? Shade was my master. He'd read and studied, like, but he was a bastard. He had never been taught the skill. And in book 2, I commented like a couple of times that when Shade was reacting to Katrickin, reacting to the king, and like a couple of things just seemed really out of place. I was like, I don't know, he seems really suspicious with the way he's reacting to the progression of things. Shade. It's Shade. It's Shade. I don't know how to feel. I don't even know where I was last time. Oh my god. I don't even know when I finished this chapter. Freaking Fitz is gonna have a breakdown. He's already like, nah, Shade made a mistake. Bro. Let's speedrun this update since chapter 21. Shade, Katrickin, Starling, Kettle, all reintroduced. We love Kettle. Shade and Starling ratted us out about our daughter. Not a fan of that. Now she's potentially being taken to be made the heir, potentially, if Katrickin and Verity don't have more kids. Not good. Katrickin was mad at Fitz, but Fitz recants everything that happens, and I think she kind of feels bad. She's also just like mad that Verity hasn't come back to her, so you know. That's another thing. And Katrickin's basically like, y'all, we're going on a hunt. Shade's going to get your daughter, and we're leaving. And the Fool's like, I'm going with you. We check them out. And Kettle's like, I'm going with you too. And then the coterie show up, and so like the Mountain King has got to consider whether he's going to turn over Fitz or not. So they take off, and they're traveling. They come along this like skill wrought path, and that was so interesting and so cool. And I have to only assume that the Elderlings are the creation of the skill route path. You can only assume that because when Fitz touches the stone and goes through to the portal of like past, future, elderling time, whatever, it says that the dragons are like dripping skill off them. So I do believe that the elderlings did create skill and wit, maybe, or maybe like are the original wit users and gave, I don't know, we'll find out. But then they're traveling up along, they go to another path, and this time the Fool touches it as well. And the whole time Kettle has been giving Fitz like a game to play with like these stones, which is clearly a representation of the books that I'm not understanding or seeing either Fitz, so don't feel bad. To keep his mind not from being skill rot, because Will and Regal reaches out knowing about Molly and the kid, Nettle, his daughter Nettle. So the second time he touches the stone, he touches it with the Fool, and they like are transported together. They have to like the Fool sees himself as like the other prophet, and this is the first time that Fitz says the Fool she, because the Fool says he was wearing a crown, but Fitz called the person wearing the crown a she while in that dreamscape thing, and acknowledges the crown that the Fool's talking about. But the Fool also meets a dragon, and then they're climbing up the path more. Do you hear the car alarm? Then they're climbing up the path more, and they find all these stone figures, dragons, like a man, I think, or like a centaur man, a boar. Like everybody has wings though. And Fitz is like, is it a graveyard? I thought potentially a graveyard for the forged ones. Everybody else just thinks it's stone, but the wit makes Fitz and Night Eyes know that it's not. The Fool is reacting to one of them, recognizing them from the vision that him and Fitz had, and then they get attacked by Burl, who came through the second stone and is attacking the Fool through the skill bond, and Verity pushes them out, Regal and Will and Burl. And now, I don't know anymore. Good morning. I read about 50 more pages last night. Me and the Fool are one and the same. We found Verity. Oh my god, we found Verity, but something is wrong with him. Now Kettle / Kestrel is helping Verity learn more about Kettle's background. I'm just happy to see Verity. I do feel bad for Katrikin. It's very interesting to see what Verity is normal about versus what Verity has completely forgot. The Fool touched the girl on the back of the dragon and hasn't told us what happened there. I am so confident, though, that Wit is what's going to wake them, because Verity tried to skill all of them awake and it didn't work. And Fitz can fill them in the skill. Now Katrikin can too. So I think it's going to be the Wit. But me and the Fool are the same. I wrote all of them because it's when I knew that it was the Fool being controlled by Regal. Like, it was very obvious to me. I don't know how Fitz didn't. But when Verity reveals it, and the Fool has like a breakdown, like, oh no, I was the betrayer. I betrayed you. Which makes sense now because it said someone he loves and who loves him. And well, like, I assume Shade and Burek love him as well. The only two I really would put in that category are Molly and the Fool. So I've got 100 pages left. I had to wake up, or I had to go to bed. Like, I wanted to finish it so bad, but I had to go to bed. So I'm gonna go ahead and read and react, and then we'll sum up at the end. I wonder if Cabal Rawbread, the one who's in charge of the Red Ship Raiders, which I'm assuming we're not solving this one now. We've only got 100 pages left. I don't even know if we're going to solve this problem. We better have some kind of conclusion with the Regal storyline. But Cabal Rawbread, I'm assuming, is the villain of maybe the next trilogy, because I'm pretty sure that those are all ship themed. So we've reached Burret, and him and Molly are possibly about to be attacked by 5 men. Burret stabbed, Nettle taken, Molly runs away. Molly's not running away. She's gonna come back and help, I think. Does Molly have... Okay, my roommate is sleeping, so let me actually hold the mic. Does Molly have the wit? Am I an idiot? What just happened? Is this... What the hell? Oh my god. Molly is witted. But is she like witted in the way Burrett is? Like she's shamed by it? Or does she know like her family history? But then again, her father was a drunkard and her mom died young. So maybe she wasn't taught it either like Fitz. And that means Nettle can have the wit and the skill, but not just the wit from Fitz. I hope Nettle's OP. Hi, yeah, me. I'm seconds away from sobbing. I'm in chapter 37. Fitz just returned from being attacked after trying to wake the dragons. We find out that was all a ruse so that Verity could take Kettle to the Skill River and dip both of their hands in it to be like renewed with energy. And Verity's gonna like die / cease to exist, but not cease to exist because he's gonna be the dragon, isn't he? And she says, Fitz like angry and jealous because obviously he's been Verity's right hand man this whole time. And Kettle says, as close as you are to Verity, the dragon will reach for you, and you are not strong enough to say no. He would pull you in completely. So Fitz would lose all of himself to the dragon as well. And Verity's trying to protect Fitz from what him and Kettle are going to go through. And then she's talking about how he has put everything into the dragon, all of his wants, even like how bad he wants to work on a map again, ride a horse again. And then she goes, and he talks about how he put Katrikin in because he was just such a strong part of him, and he needed that like strength in the dragon, right? And there's only one thing that he hasn't put in yet, and it's Fitz. He refuses to allow Fitz to help, and he refuses to put Fitz into the dragon. Which makes sense because he seems to remember Fitz more than everybody else. And I just wrote like 2 pages ago a little note. Oh my god. 2 pages ago, a little note saying like, "Oh, I miss when like their close relationship." I've spent up 2 books, a book and a half, waiting for these 2 to reunite. Oh crap, I didn't think I was this sad. Okay. Waiting for these 2 to reunite. For them to probably be separated forever. Also, we may have potentially found out how to wake up the otherlings because somebody died. One of the soldiers from Regal died on the tusk, and we also got somebody to turn over to Verity's side and openly admit, like, oh yeah, Regal told us you were dead, and there's a whole trek of soldiers coming to attack them. Cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. What the heck is happening? She talks about how Fitz loves his life too much, and Verity refuses to take everything from him when he's already taken so much, and like this just renews Fitz, obviously, to go help Verity. But then she starts talking about his mom, and that she loves him very much, and that she is a mountain woman, which explains Katrikin having the wit and Fitz having the wit. And also, they talk about the mountain people being like the older people of the town, like the country, the land. But how does she know this? Does Verity know this? Does Verity know all along who Fitz's mom is? I don't know. But oh my god, she's saying that you and Molly don't love each other. You loved that time of your life together. Wait. Why are we avoiding looking at Katrikin and thinking about tall and fair? I thought Katrikin was barely older than us. She can't be a mother. She couldn't have slept with chivalry. Is Katrikin your sister? What is happening? You cannot skill to Burrick. Chivalry closed his mind to the skill years ago to keep him from being used against chivalry, as the fool was used against you. Like the way the coterie closed Kettle's mind to the skill? What? Ah! Oh no. He's pleading for his daughter and it's not going well. The dragon statue is completed, but Verity saying he failed. The carving is finished, but the dragon is not completed. Do not fear Fitz. I will not let him take too much. Oh my god. Oh no, 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 no. You will have. Screw you, Kettle. Screw you. Screw you. He offered it. He's a child. I mean, he's a young adult, but he's a child. Ooh. He's commanding Kettle to not speak of that to Fitz. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I'm about to start chapter 38. But this is what's kind of bugging me and confusing me, and it might have to do with the fact that Verity doesn't have the wit. Right? The dragons of old, the elderlings that Fitz and the Fool see, were wit bonded with an individual. He said one was no more than the other, like you couldn't tell them apart. But Verity is putting everything into his dragon and leaving really like nothing more than a forged one in his body, right? Is it because he doesn't have the wit that they can't go back and forth? That the skill is a one-way transfer in this situation, but the wit is a two-way? Or eventually, after he finishes it, will there be the transfer possibility? Molly fooled us. She don't have the wit. I'm sorry, this is gross. Age gaps are gross. That's like your daughter-in-law. You raised that kid. Gross. Normally, age gaps okay, but age gaps with family relationship ties, ugh. Not Verity apologizing. Gross. I'm not sure I get it. He feels old, like Verity. But he's in his own physical body because Verity's body is in the tent with Katrikin. I don't get it. How are they both Verity? But one is clearly Fitz. Is it just because Fitz looks like Verity? I don't get it. I have no idea what Fitz as Verity and the Fool are doing, but it's interesting to learn about the girl and the dragon. Oh my god. Fitz. This is not the way. This is not what we should be doing. Oh, Night Eyes and the Dragon battle. All those rumors. And they're now true. Katrikin will have Fitz's kid. But is it like a skill trick that Verity uses to convince Katrikin that it's Verity? Who knows? I'm distraught. Fitz's body got lucky twice. Verity. Oh, Verity, why? I don't think I like the way to call the elderlings. And then there were three. The Fool. Okay, Burl's dead. The Fool woke the girl on the dragon, and now Fitz is waking Rilder's dragon and fighting Regal in Will's body through the wolf with the skill. Phenomenal. I knew I knew the Elderlings were connected to the Wit. I knew the Elderlings were connected to the Wit. They're talking to Night Eyes and Fitz. That makes me think that how does the skill connect to the Wit to the Elderlings? Like, can only I don't know. How does the Fool wake the one dragon? It definitely calls for blood because both of them got bloody. What's the difference between the Elderling dragon that the Fool just woke and the two Coterie dragon? Oh no, that the Fitz woke, and then the two Coterie dragons, the one that the Fool finished, and the one that Verity made. Like, what's the difference? Did they make an Elderling? Can you make an Elderling? Is an Elderling made through such heavy skill use? Because they're dripping with the skill. But then they have the ability to connect to somebody with the Wit. Is a Coterie dragon different than a true Elderling dragon? Why do I only have 20 pages of this book left? Blood and the Wit, that's what it takes to wake the dragon. So how does a Fool wake the dragon? Because he's connected to Fitz and the Wolf? Blood and the Wit, that's what it takes. Blood and the Wit, we can wake the dragons. King Wisdom is an elderling dragon. So the elderling dragons have always been skill users. But how do they form a Wit bond? Do they form a Wit bond, or are they just versed in the Wit? This is insane world building. I don't understand how I'm feeling finishing a trilogy, and I know nothing. I know nothing. Elderlings made the first dragons. The dragons aren't elderlings. And then they were made by coteries from Buck and Farseer kings. Before I finish this book, let's go for the things I still don't know. I don't know why the red ship raiders are raiding and foraging people, or how they're foraging people. I don't know who's on the white ship, if he's alive or dead. I don't know who the elderlings really are. And I don't really know that much about the skill or the Wit, apparently, because there's secret books about the skill, and I didn't stay with that one guy to learn about the Wit. Will I ever learn anything about this book series? This is the end of a trilogy, and I still have questions from book one. I finished Assassin's Quest, book 3, and the Farseer Trilogy, and I'm not okay. I think I didn't really cry at the end, but I did cry on the build up to the end. I think I'm living in a state of delusion that Verity's okay and able to communicate with Fitz at the very least, which is wow, Lin-Manuel Miranda blurbed it, which is not true. It's not true at all. And I didn't realize that Verity was my favorite character until I reached that scene. This book is phenomenal. I know throughout I mentioned that it's a long journey. Like, it's very much a quest. Fitz is traveling a lot, and we have first person point of view. And obviously he can't just skip to the encounters that are important, because then, like, it's just, that's not how a story works, right? You got to keep guessing on all these random people he meets who's going to be important. I do think, however, that the pacing of the book is a little off. I think some of those random people who we meet and don't matter could have been removed. Some of the times that Fitz like almost dies could have been removed because it gets a little repetitive at that section of the book. And maybe we could have added a little bit at the end about learning about the old blood from that community. Because the ending was very like quick and summative, and it was summative because Fitz wasn't physically there. But I think it could have been spent a little more time on than it was in this book. I give it 4 stars. That's the lowest one in the trilogy so far, and it honestly might not be a 4. It might be a 4.25. I've got to sit with it for a little. I still don't think I'm processing anything that happened. I feel extremely bad for Fitz. I just feel awful, but I'm also happy to see his conclusion somewhat nice. I'm very thrilled that I think the biggest character journey for Fitz in this book is going from I'm going to kill Regal without my king's consent, like because I want to forcing Regal to be loyal to the queen and the heir forever for the rest of his life. Like that's very monumental because by the halfway point I was like, Fitz, you're acting foolish, you're acting like a child. And at the beginning, you know, him and Shade, Bert and Shade were telling him like, we've always told you what to do, what a man's job is, and you never had the choice to make that decision. So you see him make that decision by the end, I believe. I don't know. I love the Fool. I miss the Fool. I know him and Fitz reunite because of watching people talk about the series, and one of them, everyone says that it's about them again. I would like to meet Nettle, but I could care less about Molly and Burke anymore. Like Bert, I don't care. Sorry, Shade, for doubting you. And yeah, I think I have a hole in my heart because Fitz is kind of all alone with just Starling and our new boy, which is nice. It's hilarious because all he's referring to him as his boy, and it reminds me of when he used to refer to Night Eyes as the wolf before Night Eyes had a name, and then how he was referred to as the boy for a very long time. I feel bad for Fitz in his solitary life, and I would do anything. I personally would do anything to bring Verity back. Why would they do this to me? I can't wait to start the next trilogy in this extremely long series. But there's a massive hold on it at the library for the digital book, and I'm going to see if I can go get the physical book because I am not buying books. But I'm going to wait to buy them, even though I really want them right now so that I could devour them. So I'm going to go see the library.